So I've already applied a flat base of foundation and I've made a start on one eye already because honestly I had no idea where I was going with this look and I just needed to begin somehow, so I had some kind of idea of what I was doing. So making a start on the other eye, I first went in with a black eyeliner and I sketched out the shape of the eye socket. I didn't want to block out my brows because I wanted the look to be nice and easy to recreate, so I just went around the shape of my brow and then I used that as the shape of the eye socket instead. Next, I'm packing on some pink eyeshadow around the socket and I'm blending that out a little bit with a couple of small brushes. Then I'm going to do the exact same thing with a purple eyeshadow, but leaving some of that pink showing at the edges so it has a nice gradient from the purple to the pink. I'm also using that purple to add depth in that frown line that I've created, and I know frown lines don't make any sense on a skull, but since we're going for a more arty, stylized version of a skull, you can give it any expression you want really. You also want to start adding depth on the temple as well, so first go in with the pink and then the purple at the deepest point, and you might as well add some black in there as well. I do it later on, but it's just because I do things in a weird order, so add some black in the deepest point as well. Next, I added some yellow just above the eye socket as a highlight, I guess, but also because I just love how yellow and purple go together. It was kind of a toss-up between using a green and a yellow, but yellow is always going to win my heart. It's absolutely gorgeous. And if you place that over the pink and the purple a little bit as well, then it's going to look orange and add even more beautiful colour into the look. Next, I filled the eye sockets with a black gel liner and I set that in place with a black eyeshadow so that it wouldn't crease up over time. I applied the bulk of it with a big brush and then just went in with a tiny brush just around the edges to keep them nice and clean. You also want to smudge a black eyeliner into the lash line and then tightline as well to get rid of any fleshy tones that might be peeking through. You probably want to apply some mascara as well to really black out that whole area, and if you wanted to make that area look really hollow and creepy looking, you could also wear those huge black sclera lenses. Moving on to the nose, you want to do the same thing with the black outline and then adding the pink and the purple eyeshadow around the edges. For some reason I filled it in with the black first, and it doesn't really matter, just make sure that the black is dry before you apply the eyeshadows, because if you start blending you'll end up smudging the black all over the face instead of the pinks and the purples, so just give it a few seconds before you start doing any blending. Moving on to the teeth, I'm using a white grease paint and I'm just painting in all the teeth roughly to begin with. I would recommend not using your standard water-based face paint for this because the second that stuff gets wet, it's going to break down and it's going to come off or smear everywhere, whereas with this paint I actually managed to eat a meal and drink and stuff and it stayed put, and it would have lasted even longer if I'd set it in place with a powder as well. Another alternative would be to use a white eyeliner pencil, and again just set with any kind of white powder you have. So I just threw on some white outlines so I could visualise where I was going with this look, and then I went in with a black when I was happy with the kind of positioning and everything. Moving on to defining the teeth, I took a grease paint through the two sets of teeth to begin with, and after I did this I realised a great option for this that some of you might have at home is a black liquid lipstick. Since it's a product designed to last on the lips, it would be a really good product to use. Or even a black waterproof gel liner would do the job as well. Then I'm just outlining each tooth and root with a teeny weeny little brush. You'll notice when the brush doesn't have much black on it anymore, and it blends with the white, it creates grey, and actually looks pretty cool and adds a bit of dimension to the teeth. So you could totally stop here after you defined all the teeth if you wanted to. I'm going to add a bunch of colour around the teeth later on, but as always this tutorial is just all over the place because I never have any idea what I'm doing. So leaving the teeth for a moment, I'm taking that pink eyeshadow again, and I'm going around each section of bone with a fluffy brush. Then of course you want to introduce the purple again, and then finally I'm going to highlight with the yellow. I then decided that I wanted to bring the pinks and the purples into the teeth as well, so I went ahead and did that. After you do this, the outlines on the teeth might not be so strong anymore, and that was fine with me. I found that a lot of my looks recently kind of have this raw, kind of deliberate, unfinished look to them, so I personally like this. But if you like your looks to be a bit more defined and neat, then a final touch-up of black between each tooth will really polish the look. Then I'm going to go in with the black in those areas underneath the cheekbones that I outlined earlier. And then finally I brought some of that black into the temples as well, like I mentioned I would earlier. But then that's it. Hopefully this isn't too late and I can still help inspire some of you for Halloween if you haven't sorted your looks out yet. And if not, I still hope you enjoyed the video anyway, and thank you guys for watching. Bye.